How's it, guys? Today I'm going to show you how to create this cool rotating YouTube icon in Rive and Blender. So if you're new to Blender, you would still be able to do this. This is a beginner friendly tutorial, but I assume that you have a bit of knowledge for things like just navigating in Blender. If you haven't used Blender at all before, I suggest you start at the famous donut tutorial. But Blender is actually a lot of fun and it's not as difficult as people think it is. Once you get the basics going, it's easy, as you will see in this tutorial. Enjoy, and I hope you like this one. Okay, I'm here in Blender now, and let's design our YouTube logo. So I'm just going to take everything here. You can select it like that, or you can just press A to select everything and delete it. So now we've deleted everything. Now we want to bring in our reference. The way we can do that is we can just go to Shift A and then bring in an image, a reference image. And now we just go to where you've saved your image and just insert it there. Okay, so now I've added our reference image and it's centered exactly in the middle here, which is cool. So let's just go down to this last icon that says data and click opacity and bring the opacity way down. Now we're going to add a plane. So Shift A, mesh, plane. Now we want to rotate this plane because it's not in a, we need to have it aligned with the logo here. So we want to rotate it on this angle, on the X angle. And the easiest way to do that is to press R, X, and then 90. And then now we want to edit this. So we go into Tab to go into edit mode. And I'm only going to model the one side of this logo because we don't want to do everything twice. So I'm just going to press Control R for a loop cut, and then just press your left mouse button to add it there in the middle. And then now drag and select these two vertices. So I'm on, sorry, let me just explain this quickly. If you working with the vertices up here, you press 1 if you want to go to the edges, 2, and if you want to go to the faces, 3. So we go to 1, select these two vertices and press X, and then say delete vertices. Yes, that's what we want to do. Okay, now tab out again to object mode. Go down to the modifiers, which is this thing that looks like a wrench, and just add, go to generate, mirror, and enable clipping. This is very important. So now we can just drag this basic shape out. We can just select everything, press S, Z to scale it up in the Z axis, and then select these two. And now we're just going to drag them out, press G, and then X to drag them out till about there. Okay, let's start working on the actual shape. So we're just going to go into tab again. I'm just going to add 2 more loop cuts, one going this way and one going that way. So Control R to add a horizontal one and Control R to add one like that. Then press 3 to get to face view, select all of them, press E and then Y to extrude on the Y axis. So E is extrude and then Y is just the axis that we're using, and we just extrude it a bit like so. Now let's add the bevels. So 2 for your edge select, and we select that edge and then that edge, and then we go into the front orthographic view by pressing numpad 1. Then up here, toggle X-ray, we want that, so we've got those edges selected there. As you can see, just press 1 again and then just press Control B And then with your mouse wheel, before you confirm, with your mouse wheel, we just add the segments. So we add quite a lot. I'm going to add quite a lot of them. So I've got, at the moment, I've got 53, which I think is a bit too much. Let's make it 32. I like to work with round numbers like 32 and 64, like binary type of numbers. Okay, so that's basically what we've got now. But as you can see, it's a bit, we need to pull them down a bit to get the actual shape. So what we're going to do now is press 1 again, and then just select one while you're in X-ray mode. Because if you're in X-ray mode, you can select the front and back points, and that's exactly what we want. So go back into the front view, and then this button up here that says proportional editing, enable that. And then now what that's going to do is if I press G, you can see there's a circle around it. It's going to affect everything. So it's not just going to bring that one down, it's going to affect it. And we just want it slightly, bring it slightly down. So if you want to make your area of influence bigger or smaller, you can just use your mouse wheel. So I'm just going to go round about there, and just with G, I'm just going to bring it down slightly, and then I'm going to select this one here, and then G, X, and then move this one. Sorry, I made a mistake there. What I should have done there is I should have just gone there into box selected. Otherwise, I'm only selecting the front one, and we want this to affect everything. That's very important. So I just press G and then X, and then just move this ever so slightly. And then we do the same at the bottom. Select that, box select that. So we've got both of them. It's very important. The front and the back one. And then G and then Z for the Z axis. And then we just move this up ever so slightly. And then press, select that one. And then G, Z. And then let's go out of X-ray view by pressing this toggle X-ray, and then going to tab, and this is the basic shape. Okay, now we just need to right click it and say shade auto smooth. So it's the second button there, shade auto smooth. So this is our basic shape. Okay, let's create the button, the little play button. So I'm just going to hide this for a moment. So you select this plane, and then just this little icon, and we just click it to hide it temporarily. Then we're just going to create another plane, Shift A, plane, and then again RX90. Tab into edit mode. Select these two vertices, and then go to, and then press M for merge, and say merge at center. Now we've got a triangle. We go into X-ray mode again, and then now we just, with G, let's put off this one here, the proportional editing. We don't need that now. So with G, we're just going to move this in, sort of into place, and then press S, Z for scale. So it's lines up there, more or less. And then for the last vertex, you select and press G, and just G, X, and just bring it sort of into place, that like that. Now we press 3 again for the face selection. Select the face, and then go E, Y. We don't need to extrude this one a lot, just like a little bit. And now press 3 to go to the side view. Bring back our original shape, the big shape, and then with the second one, or let's rename these first. That's always very good practice to have names. Let's call this one main shape, and call this one play. Okay, and then now with your play selected in the side view, numpad 3, you press G, Y, and just bring it forward so it sticks out there. And then if I toggle the X-ray, this is basically what you've got. So that's the main part done. Okay, what I want to do now is I want to add some circles at the back. So we just go to the front view, press Shift A. This time we're going to go with the cylinder. Let's give it, I think 32 vertices is the standard one, would be enough. And then we select it, press R, rotate it on the X axis, so RX 90. And then we can see what we've got. Now we can just make it a bit smaller. So press S for scale. And go 3 into side view, press tab, select everything, press S, Y to make it a bit smaller like that. And I think it should be a bit bigger. So you can either do it in object mode or in edit mode. I'm just going to go into edit mode, and then I'm going to make it a bit bigger. So around about there, that should be fine. And then if you ever change things in object mode, it's always a good practice to press Ctrl A and apply all transformations. That's just a very, very good Blender habit to have. So I'm just going to select all of them again. I just want to make this a bit smaller or a bit shallower. The extrusion's a bit much. I'm just going to press it S, Y, and then I think this should be fine. Now let's go to modifier, add modifier, generate an array, because we want to have 3 buttons there. So we're going to go to count, put 3 there, and then factor is basically the space between on the X axis. So we're going to increase the factor a bit more, and then this original one, we're just going to bring it G, X, and sort of bring it so it's in the middle there. Okay, and I think that's fine. So, and then right click and shade auto smooth. Okay, so this is basically our modeling done. Okay, now we've got our basic shape set up. Now let's just create a very simple rig for it. So we go to Shift A, empty, and you can add any object here, it doesn't matter, but I'm going to add a sphere. And I'm just going to press G, Z to bring it up, and then I'm going to parent all of these objects to the sphere. And the way you do that is you select all of them, and then Shift, and then select the sphere. So you should select the sphere last. And then, so if you select it last, it's got this sort of yellow glow, and the other ones are orangey. So then you know it's right. Then you press Ctrl P to parent it, object, keep transform. Now, if I press R, Z, then you can see it, everything revolves around that. Okay, let's set up our camera now and our format. Okay, you go to the second one here. We're going to set up the format first. Let's make it 500 by 500, because you don't need to render this at a high. It's a bit of an overkill if we go full HD for this one. So the resolution is 500 by 500 pixels, and then the frame rate 24, and then the frame range is, we can have 1 second, so it's from 1 to 24. Now press Shift A to add a camera. You can then add in camera. And now I'm going to show you a cool trick. You go here to View, Align View, and then you go Align Active Camera to View. So basically this camera is aligned to this view now. And then if you want to see what's happening in the camera, you press numpad 0. Like, okay, if I go out there, numpad 0, then you've got the camera view. Okay, so let's just set the camera up. There's this, with the camera selected, if I press N, you can see it brings up the transform view. So now we're just going to play with these settings here. This one we're going to make 0. This one we're going to make 0. And then the X one we want it 90 because we want it straight on like that. And then now I'm just going to bring it up. We press Z. And to bring it forward, we press Y. We want it forward quite a bit. And then you sort of just play with these settings until it aligns nicely here in the middle. I think that should be fine. So that's the camera setup. Okay, let's add the animation. Okay, we've got our empty here. So I select the empty and we want to animate on the y-axis. We want to pivot it so it rotates around. So I'm just going to go here to the rotation. Oh, sorry, not the y-axis, the z-axis. So I'm just going to hover over that, press I to insert a keyframe. Then I'm going to go to the end here, 24. Press input 360 there, and then just I for another keyframe again. So now we've got this, which is quite cool. But we want to add some easing because at the moment it's a linear animation. So I'm just going to go here where you see that little stopwatch, and I'm going to go into the graph editor. Just pull this up a bit, and then I'm just going to delete the Y and the X because we don't need them. We're only going to work with the Z. Select that one. Press A to select everything. And then you just press T to change the interpolation to Bezier. So that just gives it a nicer movement. So there's a bit of easing in and out. So that's the animation set up. Now we're just going to put the materials on and then we're good to go. Okay, for the materials, we're just going to use basic emissive materials. So basically the object's going to shine a light out so that it's going to give a very flat 2D appearance, which we want. So let's select, go to the empty there because everything's children of the empty there, and tool it down and then select the main shape. And then you'll see this icon at the bottom, material. Press new. And then up here, we go into the shading. And now we've got a node. And nodes are very, very scary for people new to Blender, but they actually, you get used to it so quickly and they're so powerful. So we've got the node here. Just make sure we've got this one selected. I've created a new material. It says material 1. We don't want this principal BSDF shader. You delete that and immediately everything goes black, but that's fine. We're going to fix it. Shift A and add an emission shader and take the emission and put that into the surface. Okay, and now it's casting light, but it's the wrong color. So we're just going to fix that quickly. So the color for the official color for the YouTube logo, I've got the hex code here. I'm just going to put that in. So you just select the color there and then click on this one that says HSV, hue, saturation and value. And then down at the bottom, we just type the hex in. It's FF and then 4 zeros. So now we've got the basic logo. So if I press 0, if we go into camera, you can see what it looks like. So that, let's just rename, double click and rename this red. Okay, and now we want to add a material for the sides, a slightly darker red. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to, with this shape still selected, I'm just going to say new. And then I'm going to go here and I'm just going to select the same red. Okay, now this is very important. Now we want to create another material from this material. So press here where on this number 2 to create a new material, and it will immediately say red number 1. So it's a single user copy for this material. So I'm just going to select everything and just call this red dark. And then now I have to assign this. And the way I do this is I go into tab mode, face select one of the faces on the side, and then just with Alt selected, just click. So now I've got this whole loop selected, and I want to apply this red dark material to this loop. So I select that, and then I just say assign, and I go out of edit view. Now it still looks the same because we need to change the material, but you'll see as soon as I open it up, and then all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to drag this down the slider so it creates a darker material. So that's basically the maybe up to there. So this is our dark red. Okay, so now let's do the same for the little arrow, and we're just going to create a new material, and then let's select our red, click this number 2 button again to make a single user, and I'm going to go in, and to get white, all you need to do is just bring up your RGB, because if RGB is, if everything's set at a 1, it's white, and if everything's set at 0, it's black. That's just a side note, but so that's how you get perfect white. So let's have a look let's see what it looks like now. We go back to layout, and then to preview your material, you just go here to viewport shading. And this is what we've got at the moment. So let's add some materials to the back. I think we want to add some, let's say, let's add 3 different ones. Okay, I'm just going to go back into model mode, and now I'm going to select these cylinders, and now I want to apply this modifier because I'm going to add different colors to every one of these. So I'm just going to go to the array, and if you see there, if I click there, and I can just say apply. So let's just go back to this mode here, and then to the shading view, and then let's just, for the beginning, just add the white, and then maybe we want to add another one, maybe like a yellow one and a blue one, and we just go to plus here, select the white, make it a single user copy by clicking here, and then this one, let's go back into shader view, let's call this one yellow, and just drag it all the way over there until it's yellow. And now I go into tab, and to select this whole circle here, all I can do is press L. Then it will select this linked copy of this. If I press L here, it's going to select that one, and if I press L there, it's only going to select that one. Then I'm going to go to the yellow and assign it. Okay. And then let's duplicate the yellow. Just go back into object mode. We add another material, and then use the yellow, and then create a single user copy, and let's make this all the way on the other side of the color wheel and make it blue. And then we tab, we'll just call it blue, and then we tab and then select L there and assign. So that's it. That's basically, now we just need to render. Let's just have a look what it looks like. So go into layout, press 0 to go into the camera, and spacebar. Okay, the only thing I still want to do here is I don't like this motion blur. Motion blur doesn't, for this instance, is not going to look nice. So we just go down here for the render, where it says render, the second button, and you go all the way down to motion blur and unclick it. So this is basically what we've got. So now we're just going to render it out. Now the last thing we want to do in Blender is render it. So we want a transparent background. So go to this icon here that says render and just go down until you find film, twirl it down and just click transparent. Now it's going to create a transparent background for you. Then you just go here to output and then just make sure wherever you want to save it, just put your directory there. And then this is important, make sure your file format is PNG RGBA. So the A says it includes the alpha, which is the background. And then you just go up here to render and then render animation. And that's it. It shouldn't take long. And then to play it back, you can just press Control 11 and then you can see what it looks like there. So that's basically it. Now let's hop into Rive and put this all together. Okay, now we're here in Rive. So what I've basically done is I've added the images in the assets panel, and then I'm just going to select all of them, drag them onto the stage, press Ctrl G to group them, and just center it. Change the group name to, let's call it icon. And then now we just need to animate it. Oh, first things first, we need to convert this to a solo. So all you do is select your group, right click, convert to solo. Just as a side note, you can also do this as SVGs. There is a way in Blender to create SVGs. There's a plugin, I've played a bit with it, but I've struggled to get these clean type of icons because it likes to add outlines to everything, almost like the grease pencil. So I still need to play with that a bit, but you can do this in Illustrator as well, where you can just import your PNGs and then convert the image to SVG. It's a bit of a tedious process, but it will make your file faster. Although this file wouldn't be that slow because I've specifically rendered it at 500 by 500. So that should be fine. But anyway, let's go to the timeline. I've set up a timeline here that's 1 second long and it's running at 24 frames per second. So then you just go to your first solo here and then press the period key to go to the next frame and then just go through the process of adding the different animations like so. And this is basically what we've got. So now you can just add your inputs and triggers to get this animation to animate. If you want to make it a bit slower, you can always go here. You can either render it out in Blender again, or you can at a slower speed, or we can just let's make it a bit slower. I feel this is a bit fast. So we make the playback speed 0.75. So that feels a bit nicer to me. Although now we've reduced the frame rate even more, but it's okay. I think this is looking cool.